So welcome back to another Wasteland Games Presents. This is the Crimson Desert. It is made by the same people that made Black Desert Online. It is a new game. At the time, this is I recorded the footage like 4 hours after it was released to the public for you to be able to play it. There are some issues with this game. There are issues with every game when they first come out. Let's clear that up to begin with. Sometimes it's hardware related, where your system won't be able to play it as fast as you want it to. Sometimes it's uh, game related, meaning that it's poorly optimized. Again, making your hardware not play it as fast as you'd like it to. In this case, they have an ultra setting and a cinematic setting as your top two tiers for this game. Whenever I go into cinematic, my game loses 60 FPS straight off the top, pretty much. Um, Not because I have a shitty graphics card, because I can run it in cinematic. It looks really good. When I try and run it and my recording software, not so much. So, yeah, we got this. Now, the other thing is, um, this game has the main problem that pretty much every Bethesda game I've ever played has had when they first came out. And in Bethesda's case, it's usually fixed by a modder. In this case, a modder has already put out, as of this recording, a mod to fix the UI in this game. I'm waiting for them to fix it, the developers to fix it themselves, because I want to play the game in as much as a native playthrough as possible. I think every game deserves that, at least on their first shot. There are some games that I will never play a second time. This game has 3 characters in it. You start off as Cliff, and he's sitting here. He's the main character with the blue lines on his face right there, and he's who you start off with. Your character's already pre-made, pre-generated. You don't get to change anything about him. There are 2 other characters that you pick up along the way. One of them is the orc guy that just went outside, and one of them is an archer, and I don't know if it's the same archer that is on your team here or not. You are basically fighting a rival clan. You're the Greymanes, which are wolves, and then the rival clan that you're fighting is a group of bears. The rulership of the country in which you live has effectively died. You guys are loyalists. These guys are not. They're opportunists, and they are going to try and take everything they can. This is your introduction to combat in this game. It is you have hand to hand a little bit, but it's mainly sword and board. I try and use the bow and arrow in this section, but it doesn't really let me do it. Now, here's a novel thing that I found out. If you're running low on stamina and you can jump a barrier like that there, the NPCs will not actively follow you across it. They will look for a way around it, but if you're just jumping over to let your stamina regen, which does really, really quick, to be honest, you don't need to think about it too much. You just need to put some space between you and your opponent. Now, I realize these are low-level opponents, but I also realize that I have no idea how combat really works in this game at this point, and I am just working my way through it, so to speak. Now, the archer that you meet, this chick up here, this is where I tried to use archery, but that's the archer chick that's on your team already. She's already a Greymane. I don't know if she is who you get, because she does get to get away, but I'm going to guess that it probably is her. But I'm not to that point yet in game myself. I played for, I want to say, 2 hours, or played around with it for 2 hours. I cut down the footage to and sped it up so you guys could see what's going on. Like the battlefield, for instance, I love the way the battlefield looks because it looks like a battlefield. The world in general is built very well. It is very well designed. It looks and reacts really well. My only issue with this is the issue that I have with most of these games when it comes to their texturing. Their waterfalls are a little crap, but that's just the way it is. I mean, the other thing is the UI is designed for somebody that either has three hands if you're using a keyboard and mouse, or you're incredibly well endowed. That's all I'm going to say. I think the option that they actually did for the keyboard layout is, I think they are thinking that you're going to treat this like a competition level game where your mouse is sitting on top of your keyboard and you are using your hand that is running your mouse over your keyboard at the same time using the fingers, your your fingers to reach down and toggle a few extra buttons when and where you can. I mean, I don't know why they would do it that way, but I have a feeling that somebody had that mindset at the beginning because it was originally designed to be an MMO and it just didn't get cleaned up with the rest of it. The actual death of the main character is right here. He dies, your character dies in the opening sequence. And then you fall down into the water, get washed down, drift down into it, and basically become the crow. That's effectively what your character is. He's here for revenge. He just doesn't really know it yet. Or to protect the people of the land and try and make things better by being a paladin. Because there's a bigger story involved here, and it's a very much a questing hero story where little things add up to bigger events, meaning you save someone's cat and that person grants you access to a village that you never knew you could find because it wasn't even a thought of your character, let alone a likelihood that you'd have access to it. Because this is a living world, and by that I mean they've gone to the point of making a story and a world where the lives of the people around you are affected by your choices, but they're also affected by your lack of choices. The things you do protects people, uplifts them, raises them up, or does nothing. You can always ignore it and just move on. My problem with game reviews that are going on right now for this game is they're very one-sidedly stupid. And why do I say that? Well, because you're comparing a game that at 60 hours I can be in the same town against a game that's 6 hours long and saying that a game that's 6 hours long is better than this. I'm not saying this is perfect. I'm not saying that content makes it better than something else. What I am going to say is, for my money, this is a much better game even with the glitches. Because this game allows me to play it without having to worry as to whether or not I'm going to get, oh look, they opened up the armor shop and now there's a new set of armor for me to buy. I don't need to buy that shit. I'm not worried about pay to win. I'm not worried about anything but just enjoying the game at the moment. I mean, I think it's hilarious that Bethesda has gone back and remonetized Skyrim again and all of their old games, trying to make as much money out of stuff that people love to play because they can't make anything now that they want to play. It's hilarious. It's stupid. It's funny. Here's something funny though. Microsoft could put out Fable 2 and Fable 3 on PC, go through and do a little bit of updates to it, mainly to make sure that it runs on modern hardware properly, and release those, and Fable 2 would make them a ton of money, and they'd only have to probably put in, I don't know, maybe about 20 hours work. But they're not going to do that because, well, I don't think they're smart enough to realize they can, or understand that people like that game so much that they still keep their old systems around just to play it. They could also acquire the license to the old Tenchu games and re-release those. That's what I would do. Just saying. Update those for modern hardware, put out a real modern Ninja Thrill game. That would be awesome. But that's not what I'm talking about here. This is Crimson Desert, and it is absolutely beautiful for what it is. It's a lot of content with very little expenditure as far as cost goes. If you look at it, I mean, if I'm playing 60 hours and I'm still in the same town and I paid $70 for a game, that's less than $2 an hour. That's better than, like, I don't know, I'm going to go with 900% of the games that are currently on Steam. There's very few of them that aren't a MUD or an MMO that's been around for more than 14 years that has that kind of content available to it at launch. I don't think there's any games that at launch have that kind of content available to it. So those people that are saying that Crimson Desert is worse than Veilguard or any of the EA titles, all those dumpster fires, they can eat a dick. And then follow it up with a nice healthy glass of piss. Because they're just full of shit. And one of the other things that you learn if you actually learn about the gaming industry, and more precisely, if you actually look into the reviewing end of the gaming industry where games are sent out, there are companies like IGN and things like that that will get an advanced copy of this game. They'll give it to somebody and say, hey, review this game, play it, tell us what you think, write an article about it. And then the guy will write the article and he'll be like, "Oh, it's a great game. It's awesome. It's blah 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 blah." Then they'll take that article, hand it off to one of their other employees, and they'll say, "Now, fix this for us. It needs to be in our voice, our corporate voice." See, I don't have a corporate voice. I say bad words all the time. Well, not all the time, but I say bad words on a regular enough incline that I doubt that I'll ever get a sponsorship, because I also like to think. And in order for me to ever get a sponsorship doing anything, they would have to actively think, well, he's funny. He's got a take on the world, and he understands the world in which he works. So we'll see how that goes. But the thing about this game is there's a lot of things to unlock and play with. And each thing you unlock can modify the character's abilities in a fight a great deal. I'm not gonna lie, they can change out whole massive amounts of movement and general fighting in this game. But one of the things I'm most impressed with is the world. You see, I was traveling around and I looked at a lot of different areas in this game because, like I said, I played for like 2 hours before I ever uh, started putting this video together. And I didn't find any floating trees. I didn't find any floating rocks that weren't meant to be floating. And I didn't find any totally obscene obstacles that my character couldn't get around. I mean, I don't get it. That alone makes it better than like 95% of the games that are out there. There's no magic wall boundary that I can't get through. There's no odd items that I need to get into certain areas that don't make sense. Like if it says the door's locked and I can't pick a lock, but it says I need a key and there is a key, there you go. The problem that I have with it really is the fact that the interface is temperamental, and whenever it goes to connecting and activating some of the activation points that you need to get into certain areas, it can be kind of finicky. The combat's not bad overall. It's a little jank in that it's got the same problem that most modern games have, where the hitbox is kind of weird with certain weapon types, um, which is not saying anything in particular good or bad. There are missions that are meant to be, you have to finish this before this can go, so to speak. Um, Chained events, I suppose, is a good way of putting it. But like the world, like you have donkeys, you have cats, you have ducks, you have people all around. Granted, they are not walking up to you and walking by you, but then again, you're at a military encampment at this point, and one of the things that reviewers have said is, well, it doesn't feel like a living world because the people don't really move around. I hate to tell you, but if you've ever been to a Ren fair and you see people that are in these kind of outfits, in this kind of weather, they're not moving around a lot because that shit's hot, especially the armored guys. You can say, well, they should be patrolling or they should be that. Some of them are, just not these. You understand what I'm saying? But you can see horses and everything else. And I go ahead and summon my horse just to see how it works. Blow a whistle, and there he is. And then I can ride into town if I want to. Now, here's the thing. You're like, well, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. It's also awesome that that tree isn't sitting 3 feet off the ground, or the rock isn't like jumping up to hit me in the chin when I walk by it because of the weird physics in game. The plants are blowing in the wind, and I grant you that's a little bit higher velocity than it probably should be for the game because it doesn't affect the smoke on top of these buildings as much as it should if it's blowing at that velocity. But that's an observance of a fact in game that I saw that most people aren't going to pay any attention to. But some of them, you can see the smoke is affected by the wind. But in other places where it should be, it's not. That's just inconsistent design. Now, that trap door there is the thing that gave me the most problems in this entire playthrough because I couldn't get the damn thing to open up whenever I tried to open it. But, and then going through here, I just kind of wanted to see what the place was like. So I walked up. I figured I had to do the arm wrestling thing with the guy. And I'm looking around. And I just wanted to know how the architecture was designed because it's just kind of cool to look, you know what I mean? And see what's there. I thought it was cool that I could turn off the lights. It's such a rare feature that you can turn them off, turn them back on. Plus, I was trying to test out the ability of the UI to actually interact with the object world, and it's not bad overall. It's very good. You can greet people, talk to them, do practically anything you want to. It's actually kind of fun. There's your patrol, people standing outside of the tavern. It's just, it's not a bad setup overall. The whole game is designed to be highly interactive. I do think it's funny that the women look like women and don't look like hobgoblins because that's a modern take as far as our developers go in this country. And by our developers, I mean in the United States, Canada, well, you know, the third world that we now live in. It's just hilarious that I can call it that because it's turning into that and people aren't smart enough to notice it. But I digress. So we'll go back to the game here. Now, the mini games in and of themselves have a learning curve. I would say you're probably going to lose at least once to beat it. If you don't lose, well, what are you learning? You know what I mean? Because it took me a minute to figure out that just pushing X like that and then not hitting the A timing was going to make me lose. Didn't realize that. I thought pushing the X would maintain my position and the A timing would advance it. I didn't think it would be quite as impactful an advancement as it was. But it just goes to show you, they thought of things in a little bit different way than I have. But yeah, game wise, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I've enjoyed the time that I played this game. I've enjoyed the fact that in its jankiness is still a better game than like 95% of what's coming out now. And the things that are better than this are things that are based on TTRPGs or are turn based because they are almost all just big story blocks. But I mean, this is an action adventure game. You have all the modern action adventure games that have came out in the US or from developers in the US and Canada have had these large blocks of story that you'll go into combat and then you'll have story. You'll go into combat and then you'll have more story. And it's these large bricks of material that they try and force down your throat to make you digest what's going on. And it doesn't make any sense at all. Well, it doesn't make sense to me. Let's put it that way. I realize that people are designing games for people with low attention spans, which is one of the reasons why we have 6-hour games. But I don't want to pay $60 for a 6-hour game anymore, boys. I don't know about you. Ladies, you can pay whatever you want for whatever game you want to play. As long as you enjoy it, I don't give a shit what you play. Same thing with you guys. I don't care what you play either, as long as you enjoy the stuff that you're doing. But I get tired of the same thing over and over again. It's like walking into a wall and expecting the wall to not be there. Eventually it won't be, or you'll have a concussion and won't notice it. But I'm just too tired of dealing with the crap that comes along with modern games. I mean, whenever Fallout, for God's sakes, Fallout 76 put pride flags in it, and I could see world flags, so you could, say, hey, I'm from Germany. This is my flag. This is my home. Um, why do I need to know someone's sexual identity or preference in any way, shape, or form in a video game? It shouldn't matter to me at all. And I don't necessarily want kids exposed to it, which is why those games have mature ratings. Imagine if it didn't have that rating. Imagine if it didn't have that crap in it. You wouldn't have to worry about it then, would you? But that's not the way companies look at it. They look at it as, we're going to go and get as many people to play our game as possible, and we're going to get every demographic that we can to play it. Well, let me put it to you this way. There's a lot of demographics. Serial killers, for instance. I don't necessarily want them playing a game that I develop. I don't want that to be like, the defining feature of their personality that they thought, hey, this is a really cool game. I could literally make people's faces into masks and wear them around if I'm part of the Mothman Society. But, Bethesda's cool with that. So we just let it slide. But there's a lot of games out there, and there's a lot of things that are good material. But, yeah, you don't have to like everything. You don't have to hate everything because it's something somebody else likes. You could just leave it alone and just appreciate it for what it is. But there are some people that can't do that kind of stuff. And I understand that because they feel a need to that their opinion matters more than yours, and that your opinion is just wrong. Fuck them. So if you like this game, enjoy it for what it is. If you don't like this game, don't buy it. Get a refund. If you want to wait for a while until some patches come out to fix some of the issues with it, do that. Give it a try then. For me, I'm okay playing it while it's a little bit janked up. As long as I can make it work, I'm cool with that. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of games that I've played over the years that have been janked up, and they're all janked up still today. I can still play them. Hell, some of them have a lot of nostalgic memories of people that I played with, and some of them are just garbage in the dumpster fire. But this, in general, in many and most ways, seems to be an honest attempt at making a good game and making something that people can enjoy for an extended period of time, if not years. So take the time to give it a shot if you can. If you can't, it is what it is. But listening to places like IGN and all these other review places and not making up your own mind on something, you want to see somebody who's going to make up their own mind, I will gladly review any game that you want that I have access to. Because I will tell you if it is a total piece of shit and a burning fire of garbage, or if it's got any redeeming qualities. I rate games whenever I rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. Usually I rate on artistry and presentation and all that stuff. Gameplay. The biggest problem that I have in this game is the UI. And the UI is not bad all of the time. It is only bad in certain situations, like opening the damn trap door. That just sucked ass. But otherwise, it works pretty well. It's designed out pretty well. You can find jobs to do. You can talk to people. You can interact with pretty much everybody. Everything you do is just a little bit more fun if you can do it and look at it for what it is. But and the very few times I've seen textures and tiles that are out of place, they're not something that you would notice, or they are something that is meant to be a certain way. Like up there where the cat's at, there's a little bit of plant fiber that's sticking out from the edge, and that plant fiber makes it hard to render. But it's a good game overall. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. I think that it has its merits and its flaws, and I think that, in all honesty, the merits will outweigh the flaws in pretty much every case, especially if you're looking for something to just explore and go nuts with.